Hello and welcome to our junior church lesson for today. And we hope that everybody there is enjoying the series that we've been going through. Today, we are going to be looking at Esther chapter 5. And Esther chapter 5 and 6 continues on a story where Esther had been trying to figure out how to stop this plot to get rid of her people. She really didn't know exactly how to get that done, except for the fact that she was praying, she was fasting, because Haman was a man who really did not want to have these Jewish people around because Mordecai didn't worship him. So Esther chapter 5 and verse 1, she's about to go to the king, her husband, but if she went in there and it wasn't accepted, she could have lost her life. So Esther chapter 5 verse 1, now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Verse 2, it was so when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, she obtained favor in his sight. Whew, she made it. She wasn't going to not make it. She wasn't going to be punished for her entering in when she shouldn't have been allowed to go, but she was able to make it. And then she makes a request. Her request was simple. Verse 5, verse 4 of Esther chapter 5. Esther said, if it seemed good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. So she wants to have a banquet between the king and Haman. That's all. No one else. Just those two. So Haman finds out about this, and he gets happy. He gets really, really happy. So much so that he's told that, hey, I get to have meals with the king and the queen, and I'm going to be accepted. But on his way out, he sees Mordecai there. And he looks at Mordecai, and he's like, I can't do this meal with him there. He really did not like Mordecai. So much so, he went to his wife, and he's like, I don't know what to do. The king wants to have a meal with me, but no one else. I don't like Mordecai. I need to find a way to get rid of him. So his wife said, Esther chapter 5, verse number 14, then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made 50 cubits high. And tomorrow speak unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereupon. So she's like, just hang him. Get rid of him. Send the gallows, say, king, hey, we got good position here. We're servants. I just want you to go ahead and I want you to ask the king, let's just get rid of Mordecai there. Now, there was a law that meant all the Jews were going to be gone, but he really did that because of one person. Because of one person who didn't bow down and worship him. He wanted to get rid of everybody else. So he thinks about this. And while he's thinking about this, the king Ahasuerus also was thinking about something. He was thinking to himself, we had two people try to go against us, and they got killed for that. And he thought, we never awarded those people. We never rewarded a man who found out that there was treason being committed. There was someone going against the government. So they ask and they figure it out. And so the king says, who can we have that can help reward this person? Who can make this guy be rewarded for what he did? Now, who was that guy? It was Mordecai. Mordecai was the one who told the king that these two guys at the end of Esther chapter 2 were going to try to kill him. So he got rid of them. But guess who's in the court? Guess who's the closest servant there? Esther chapter 6, verse 4, the king said, who was in the court? Now Haman was coming to the outward court of the king to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. Here comes Haman walking up. Yes, today is a great day. I'm going to get rid of Mordecai. Woohoo. Yeah, or something like that. He probably didn't say it exactly that way. But he's singing, yep, today is Mordecai's day. I'm going to do him in. King's going to enjoy this. We're going to be thrilled. So Haman comes in, says, King, I have a question for you. But before that, the king asks him a question. He's like, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor? Basically, he's saying the king wants to worship somebody, wants to be able to reward somebody for doing something good, for being a good person. And Haman's thinking, I know. He's talking about me. He doesn't want to say it out loud, but he's talking about me. So how is he going to do this? Well, Haman said to the king, for the man whom the king delighteth to honor, verse 8, Esther chapter 6, let the royal apparel be brought which the king useth to wear, and let the horse that the king rideth upon, and the royal crown which is set upon his head, and let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of the king's most noble princesses, that they may array the man with all the king delighteth to honor, bring him on horseback throughout the street of the city, proclaim unto him, this shall be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. Basically, he's saying, let's make this guy look really, really good. And let's let the king choose the person to deck this person out. Now, he's thinking to himself, this is going to me. Haman's like, he thought of the biggest and grandest thing for himself. And then the king said unto him, make haste. Go. I want you to do exactly what you do, what you just said. Take the apparel, take the horses, thou hast said, do even so to Mordecai the Jew. Oh. Haman thought it was him that was going to get all of these things. No. It was Mordecai. The guy who he was going to get hanged that day. Can you imagine how much it ate Haman in his inside to have to do this to Mordecai? Well, the Bible does answer that. And Esther chapter 6, verse 10 says, let nothing fail of all that I have spoken. What you said, do that to Mordecai. So we did. Brought him on horseback, the apparel, the horse, into the streets, and was praised for his good doings. And then verse 12, Haman and Mordecai came to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house mourning and having his head covered. What a big crybaby. Haman completely had his worst day ever, but it wouldn't compare to what would happen in a few days from now. But Haman started to realize that he's about to lose this battle. How so? Haman told Zeresh's wife, verse 13, and friends, everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise man, Zeresh's wife, unto him, if Mordecai be at the seat of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but surely shalt fall before him. Basically saying, you're trying to go against God. Guess what's going to happen? People who've done that before, they've lost. You're in a losing battle, Haman. And just as they were trying to convince him of that, one of the king's servants come along, the chamberlains, and said, hey, Haman, it's time for your banquet. Whoa. They could not talk him, could not convince him, couldn't figure out exactly what was going to happen. But Haman, sure enough, this was the start of his downfall. His pride, his hatred, ended up being something that would really ruin him. First, he had to honor Mordecai because of what Mordecai had done. And Haman thought it was going to be all for himself. And then Esther had the courage to go in there in the faith and ask for this banquet. And Esther already knows exactly what was going to happen. In the fact that she knew that Haman was behind the plot. Now all it had to do is be revealed. We're going to stop the story there for today. It really gets into the good stuff here. But what does this mean for you and I? What does this mean that we can take home with? Well, number one is this. Hatred burns. Hatred consumes people. Hatred gets rid of people. Haman's hatred was so bad that eventually it's going to do him in. He hated Mordecai, and he associated Mordecai with all the other Jews, which really wasn't the case. Mordecai was a good guy. The only thing that Mordecai didn't do was worship Haman because he chose to worship God. And he used that against them and tried to get rid of everybody. But number two is that Esther, she knew that she was about to, she may have not made it had the king not accepted her. But she did. She fasted. She went to the Lord. God answered her prayer and was able to do the things that need to be done. Next week, we're going to look into Esther chapter 7 and 8, 9 and 10, and find out exactly what happened to good old Haman. But more importantly, seeing how God would be able to still protect his people no matter what. We hope you have enjoyed tuning in, and we'll see you next week.